Hey there, fools! Big T here, and I'm back with another video. And this video is about Sega Ages. And I'm sure you guys, most of you know, Sega announced the Sega Ages basically collection for the Nintendo Switch, and I believe other consoles. I believe some other stuff has already released on PS4 and Xbox One. They have a collection of, I think, like 50 games that released on PS4 and Xbox One. Not yet for the Nintendo Switch, and what they initially announced wasn't like very exciting. But they did say more was to come, so this is kind of my video about what I think should be included with the Nintendo Switch Sega Ages collection. And I'm not sure if it's like a thing that they're going to put out and it's going to be kind of their own virtual console where they'll add more games to said collection and you can play it through that, or if it's just like a game by game type of deal. I think the latter sounds more seems more cool if they do it that way. But anyway, let's get started on my take on what I believe in the Sega Ages for Nintendo Switch. So starting off here in the center of your screen, obviously you see Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Pretty much arguably my favorite Sonic game. I think it's mechanically sound. It's the most mechanically sound of them all. It's a very streamlined game. There's not a lot of fat, you know. This is the best game from level 1 to the boss fight, which is a giant mech Robotnik, if you will. And yes, I call him Robotnik. I'm not on that Eggman stuff. That's after my time, I think. But he's Dr. Robotnik to me, so that's what I'll always call him. But here you see the classic cart. I believe easily my favorite Sonic the Hedgehog game. And I would definitely like to see this. This is a no-brainer. This is probably already announced, so enough with that one. So we're going to start next with this game on the Sega Saturn. We're moving on to the Saturn right now. Bug 2. This is Bug 2. There's actually Bug 1, which is just called Bug. These are cool kind of 2D, pseudo 3D-ish platformers that came out early on the Sega Saturn. And this is the sequel, Bug 2. I also have Bug 1. I don't have all the games to show you because I didn't feel like pulling them all out. Yeah, Bug and Bug 2, I think they're really fun little platformers and would make a nice addition. And to keep on with the Sega Saturn, we're going to go with 3 Dirty Dwarfs. Some of my Sega Saturn, if you look at these big American cases, because the Japanese cases are different, which you'll see in a second, but the American cases look basically like the Sega CD cases, and so they're big and bulky and they're easy to crack and break. And so some of my games I ended up putting in just regular CD jewel cases for protection, but most of my Sega Saturn games have survived, but a lot of them haven't because of that, so just keep that in mind. So yeah, 3 Dirty Dwarfs, and I believe this is somewhat of a rare game these days. I think this now you can spend over $100 for because there weren't that many copies made. But this is a really cool like 2D kind of beat 'em up game with 3 Dirty Dwarfs. It's nice, cool, cartoony style to it. Really fun, really cool boss battles. The boss battles in this game are really cool. So yeah, check out 3 Dirty Dwarfs if you can. And I don't think this is on any kind of service where you can buy it. I don't think it's on Steam or anything. I might be wrong about that, but this is, especially with the Sega Saturn, there's a lot of games that are just locked to that system that you just can't play anywhere. So definitely bring this game back. Virtual On is not a rare game. It's not expensive, I don't think. And another one of my game cases that broke, so here we are with the jewel case. Virtual On is a cool 1v1 mech fighting game, and you can customize your mechs, and you have all these cool like abilities, and different weapons you can use, and it's like a mech arena fighting game. And you know, the Saturn gets flack for how hard it was to develop for, but if you did tackle that hardware, it was really good. Definitely better than the PlayStation 1 in many aspects. and if you could really tackle the 3D stuff, it really looked good. And Virtual On was one of those games that really shined as far as 3D goes. So Nights into Dreams, yes, yes, yes. I believe you can pick this game up in other places. They actually have like up-res versions of it. Makes the graphics look better, makes it run better. You can download it from Xbox Live Arcade, and I believe it's on Steam as well. Nights into Dreams is a great game. It's a Sonic team game, so it very much feels like Sonic in a lot of ways. It has that kind of arcade kind of scoring system. It's just, you know, it's definitely a speed run type of game as well. But you can explore and find all the secrets and stuff. I'm not gonna get into the story or anything like that, but that's one of the things that really touched me. I really like the story of this, the idea that the twin souls, which is pretty cool, twin dreams, and definitely need another version of that on the Switch. And here we have Fighting Vipers, very cool 3D. Well, yeah, 3D fighting game on the Sega Saturn. Sega Saturn was really good at 3D fighters and 2D fighters as well. And next up we have Burning Rangers. Again, this is the Japanese version of Burning Rangers because the American version today will run you about $200 or more. And that's one of my main issues with the Saturn. Like I said, if you 10 years ago, I think 12 years ago or so, I went out and started trying to replace a lot of the games I had in the 90s. This is one of them, and it wasn't as expensive then. I think it was probably $100 back then when I tried to do it, and I was just like, I'll just get the Japanese version. I wish I didn't. I wish I would have spent that $100, because now it's $200 basically, and the Japanese version is hard to follow unless you've played the game like I have and beaten it. It's hard to follow like instructions and the story and stuff. And this is basically like a firefighter simulator, but like you're in kind of a mech suit and you put out fire. And this is another Sonic Team game, and it has that Sonic Team feel, and it's gorgeous. One of the best looking Sega Saturn games, and just very fun. And I would like to see them bring, you know, a version of this back. Again, I don't know if this is out anywhere else on Steam or anything like that, but it'd be great for Sega Ages on Switch. And this game never came out in America. This game I did actually buy back in the 90s and I kept. And it's called Steam Gear Mash. Now, I don't know why this game never released in the West. Overhead, kind of Diablo-esque. It's not a Diablo type of game, but it has that kind of visual view. And it's just a fun action game. And this is one of the reasons the Sega Saturn failed, because Sega of America and Sega Japan couldn't get along and figure out which games would do well in the West. And I think this is one of them, and this is one of the many reasons why the Sega Saturn, I think, failed, because we didn't get games like this in the West. And it's sad, because Sega Saturn did really well in Japan. It just kind of sucked everywhere else. So then we have Clockwork Night. This is the Japanese version. I don't think these games are that expensive today. I probably picked this up because maybe it was $20 or something cheaper, and it's, you know, it's a platforming game, so you don't need, like, it's not a big story game, so the Japanese in the game doesn't bother you too much. And it's really fun 2D platformer with like the 3D aesthetic, like 3D backgrounds and stuff. So very cool. And you know, if this would make a cool Nintendo 3DS game, because there's segments where stuff flies at the screen, kind of to remind you that it has like a 3D aspect to it. So this is, I think this is one, but there's two Clockwork Night games on Sega Saturn. Next up we have Virtua Fighter Remix. This is the game. This came out on Sega Genesis as well, but this was the 3D version of it with the polygons. And this is the remix, because the original Virtua Fighter had really poor models, 3D models, characters, and they rushed it out because they rushed out the Sega Genesis or the Sega Saturn to market to beat PlayStation. And so some of the early launch titles didn't look too good, like Daytona USA and this. And so they remixed both Daytona USA and this game. And this is night and day as far as the original Virtua Fighter and this remix version. It looks more like this one, which is Virtua Fighter 2, which was, you know, not rushed, and it looks great on Sega Saturn. It's one of my favorite fighting games of all time. I don't think there's a person out there that can match me in this. With my boy Akira here, I'm a beast, and I would love to be able to play this online against people to see how good I am or still am. So to add this to Sega Ages and give us some online for the Switch would be awesome. But yeah, Virtua Fighter and Virtua Fighter 2 definitely need to come. And so next up we have Panzer Dragoon series. I don't have one on me. I didn't want to pull it out. It was, like I said, as far it was take too much to get out. But here's 2, Panzer Dragoon's Way. This is the Japanese version. I'm not sure how I bought this one again. I don't think it's that expensive. But I have 1, 2, and 3, which is a full-on Japanese RPG. It's very different from 1 and 2, which are kind of like Star Fox-esque games, where you fly along a rail path and you're on top of your dragon and you just, you know, you shoot. But Panzer Dragoon 3, or Saga, as it's known in the West, it's known as Azel Panzer Dragoon RPG in the East, is a full-on huge Japanese RPG, and it's like 4 discs. And the American version of this game today will run you about $500-600. So yeah, good luck with that. I did have the original game back in the day. It's one of the games I traded in back then that I am regretting big time now. Not because of the cost or how much money I could get for it, because I wouldn't sell it. It's because I can't rebuy it at least on the Sega Saturn in the American version, the America's version. I can't rebuy it in any, you know, reasonable price. It's at the lowest end, it's $400, and that's just the discs, and then $700 if you want it complete. So yeah, this definitely needs to come back. I don't think there's any other way to play this game, which is travesty, because it is greatness. Story, the music, the battle system. Definitely pick this game up if you can in any way. If you can't, definitely it should be in Sega Ages at some point. It should be for resale. I don't know. I don't believe it's anywhere else. I don't believe it's on Steam or anything like that. I'll check, but this game needs to be played by all RPG fans. It is greatness. And quickly, to add a couple of games, we all know Shenmue 1 and 2 are out there coming for Xbox One and PS4. But Sega GT is also a great series, so I'd like to see a few of those come back in some capacity. And this is a cool double disc set, Jet Set Radio Future, which is, you know, an awesome series as well. So underappreciated, great game series that I'd love to see come back. And obviously that's Shenmue 2. And Shenmue 1 was on Dreamcast. And so for some Dreamcast games, we got Virtua Tennis. I mean, it's tennis. The Virtua Tennis series was really good. It was arcadey, but still kind of sim. So a good tennis game that I like to see again. Ecco The Dolphin, Defender of the Future. Ecco The Dolphin on Sega Genesis is great. I would like to see that as well. And this game is just gorgeous. And especially when it came out, it was just a beautiful game and very fun gameplay. I'd like to see this come back to some capacity in the Sega Collection on Switch. Obviously, Sonic Adventure 1. When this game initially came out, it blew a lot of people away. And then as you were playing it, you started to see the problems. But you kind of, you know, look past a lot of the problems because it was a really cool game for the Dreamcast. It was a big launch title. And then we got Sonic Adventure 2, which improved a lot of the problems in 1, streamlined the game. I overall like this one better, even though I remember Sonic Adventure 1 more. This was the better Sonic Adventure game, for sure, too. And then everybody knows Crazy Taxi, not much need to be said for that. And here we go with the Sega Smash Pack Volume 1, which is hilarious because there is no other volumes. I guess you could say Sega was counting their chickens before they hatched on Dreamcast, sadly, because they never got to a Volume 2. But 12 great games from the Genesis, which are Sonic the Hedgehog. I would rather have Sonic 2 in this collection, but I think they would have added that in the next volume had they had one. Golden Axe, Shining Force, Streets of Rage 2, which is the best one, Wrestle War, Columns, Virtua Cop 2, which is also the best one, a great game, Revenge of Shinobi, Sega Swirl, Altered Beast, Phantasy Star 2, and Vector Man. Great set of games that could be in their own compilation, or add it to Sega Ages at some point if it is kind of a service, well, not a service thing, but if it does end up being its kind of its own virtual console kind of setup, to where they'll add more to Sega Ages, if you purchase it. So yeah, I mean, these are just a few of the games I'd like to see on Sega Ages for Switch and the other consoles. However they do that, but I think a lot of these games are actually on the PS4 and Xbox One Sega Smash Pack. I don't know what they call it, but they already have a arcade set for those consoles. You can check that out. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. You like my list here? Is there anything you would add? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you as always for watching and listening, and now see you fools next time. Peace out.